Bitcoin is pressing into key resistance as we head into the final stretch of May, and with PPI data and the Fed meeting on deck for tomorrow, the next 48 hours could be critical for the entire market. Meanwhile, Ethereum continues to soar with impressive strength, and the SPY is approaching a major technical target of its own. There's a lot to unpack, and I'm breaking it all down for you this morning. My name is Paul Sampson, and this is DataDash. Before we dive into today's market update, I want to take a moment to highlight our channel partner, Max APY, a new DeFi platform offering some of the highest yields on-chain for stablecoins. Right now, you can stake USDC directly on their platform and start earning a real-time on-chain APY without needing to chase risky tokens or complex strategies. It's simple, transparent, and built for long-term yield seekers. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Their official airdrop is set to go live at the end of May, and in the meantime, they've launched what they call a silent epoch. This is essentially a pre-airdrop window where every USDC deposit made during the period qualifies for a 30% booster when the airdrop does go live. It's their way of rewarding early adopters before the wider DeFi crew catches on. So if you're looking to park some stablecoins and earn passive income and position yourself for a boosted airdrop, be sure to check out Max APY today. The link is down in our description below. All right, folks, an update to Bitcoin here, picking up from where we left off pretty much on Monday, which was more of a macro update. This is a little bit more on the smaller time frame here as we're kind of looking into the next coming days and weeks with the upcoming PPI data and the Fed meeting tomorrow, where Jerome Powell is just going to basically discuss the overall market conditions. I bring that up because it's very interesting that we are basically pushing our head right into this key resistance, which right now is marked as our Monday high, where we actually came up and put in that region on Monday of this week. It's a very important level for the remainder of this week, because what we tend to see at times, especially on days when we have some of these big economic events, is we basically just kind of run into this and consolidate below that resistance. And we at times will come up and we'll sweep it. And if we come back below, it could set up a pretty decent little pullback. Now, when looking at our overall range data as well, this is also basically right at the high side of our range. Once again, for anyone new to myself here at the channel, I'm utilizing the fixed range volume profile tool, which is basically highlighting the value area based on volume of a certain area of the chart. It's showcasing in this area here highlighted is 70% of all the volume that's taking place, and that's what's represented as the value area. This white line that's protruding out of here is where the most volume takes place. That's our point of control. Okay, and this was a really big target for us when we came back into the range, which is where we basically hit our head from for a little bit of time before we actually pushed up and rotated this range basically to the high. And while I do foresee the market overall pressing higher, whether or not we push up from here directly without any sort of a pullback, I do want to highlight also that $106,000, or basically maybe even where we've put in already that 105,800, right, give or take, is a very key region here where if we don't get through this in the near future here, I could see us really pulling back down to that $88,000 to $90,000. Now, overall, that would just essentially be a little bit of a ranging notation here. But for me, I'd be looking for us to put in what's known as a higher low, all right? So that we could look at this as more of a bullish momentum, putting in some bullish structure to the upside. So as we walk into those two economic events tomorrow, I just wouldn't be surprised to see something along those lines where we kind of come up a little bit more higher, push into those regions, and we come back below, close, and get a bit of a pullback. It could be relatively quick to see the beginning stages of it, but overall, we could just kind of slowly cruise down here over the next coming weeks. And just to pick up on Ethereum here, once again, I was highlighting how we were putting in what I considered, and not only on this was just something I just picked up on, but generally when we see this almost staircase down, a lot of times we come out of this with what's known as the elevator up. And all I mean by that is just a hard and fast move back up to the upside, catches a lot of people off guard. It's usually presented with a ton of negative sentiment, potentially some negative news, and really everybody kind of giving up on that asset. We saw the same thing at Bitcoin at the all-time, or at the bear market low of 2022, right after the FTX collapse, where everyone was hand over fist willing to get their Bitcoin unloaded, right? Because they were so fearful that all the exchanges around them were going to collapse and there was more downside to come. And what did we get? We got nothing but pretty much upside. Now, Ethereum had put in similar sentiment, as well as just coming down and structurally taking out some of the lows from 2023. We also put in place this bullish harmonic pattern, which is a sequence of Fibonacci's that has a set list of ratios. And then they also have a set list of rules as far as the targets that they come back to meet. So not only did we come down and we swept that low, we basically completed this overall high time frame pattern that took about 8 months to complete. And with this, we had two specific targets in mind, which was the 382 and then the B point / gold pocket, which basically aligned with each other. Now, the 382 also was our quarterly pivot for this quarter for Ethereum. So at the time when we started, this was an untapped high time frame average, which was very likely to be met in this quarter. A lot of times we get back to those averages in a hurry, so hence the elevator back up. And on the daily time frame, we've essentially come through this region, held it on daily closures, back tested as support, flipping this resistance now into support. And so far, I've gotten a pretty healthy launch from here. So unless we come back down and start losing 2440, I anticipate we make our way up to the next level here, which is going to be that B point, which is going to be our gold pocket area. It's also a high volume target, and that does sit at $3,100, give or take, for Ethereum. Now, one thing I want to highlight is Ethereum is getting quite a boost here. Is one of the few things that I pointed out when I first joined the DataDash channel back in January, when Nick and I were having our first collaboration, was the potential for this monster reversal set up on ETH BTC. And for me, that's always been a really indicative indicator of the altcoin rally, altcoin season, the altcoin movements, however you want to view it. And even though while I understand that the ETH BTC chart doesn't necessarily point to the overall altcoins, generally, if ETH is anticipated to outperform Bitcoin for a substantial amount of time, usually it's not doing that by itself. And a lot of times we do see it accompanied with the remainder of the altcoin market. There's millions of coins now, so not every single thing is going to flourish like it once did in the past. But as you can already see, just in this brief little window we've had over the last week or so, where Bitcoin dominance started pulling down. And what that means is that when the dominance of Bitcoin pulls back, usually the altcoins, that money, that capital is rotating into the altcoins. In this case, Ethereum alone is bringing down the dominance of Bitcoin with that huge. I mean, we've had almost 100% rally now in Ethereum. And when that shift truly begins and takes place, once again, that's when you start to see those true blue elongated runs in the altcoins that everybody has truly been, I think, waiting with bated breath for the better part of this year so far. And while I don't think it's going to be a nonstop up-only styled event, I do think that we're on the cusp here of the beginning of something along those lines, right? So I always bring up the notion to not feel FOMO and not feel like you need to rush in anything. What I'm about to share is actually a really high time frame idea. So the overall targets of this is many, many months away. And we're going to have many red days along the way, just like we had many green days on the way down to form that low, right? If indeed this is where we're going to start to see this reversal. But this is a very interesting chart that I've wanted to, kind of touch back on, because I think it's important to notate and then just kind of understand where the market overall is heading. And I think that Ethereum is a huge indicator of that. So as simple as this can look here, this is from August of 2019 to now, obviously. This is almost a 6-year pattern that has been unfolding. This is, once again, a harmonic setup, which is a sequence of Fibonacci's, right? At the end of the day, this is got a completion zone of into the 90% retracement zone, all the way down to basically where it begins. So this is a very valid setup here. Originally, when we were looking at this months ago, I was looking around that end of March, beginning of April timeframe for this to potentially bottom out and start to see a reversal. Obviously, it's a little late, mind you. I was also targeting this from all the way back in Q4 of 2023. In November and October of 2023 is when I started noting that we would see this continuation down, looking for the reversal in that window. So to be a few weeks off, we'll see how it ends up playing out, I suppose. But either way, it's something that's kept me relatively grounded in this time where many were giving up on Ethereum and really starting to believe that the altcoins, the going mindset around the crypto community, at least, was that the altcoins are just not going to pump, right? They're just not going to see what they've saw before. There's too many of them. There's no liquidity. There's no new players. There's no retail. While all those things may be true, when it hits, and it happens fast, right? It's one of those things where I always say that it doesn't look like or doesn't feel like maybe it's going to be able to get there until it does, right? So it's preparing for those key regions, those big levels, being able to put on risk when many others are, once again, going the opposite way. It's really identifying that area where you want to be greedy when others are fearful, and then vice versa, right? Anyhow, this is a 6-year long potential reversal pattern that at this point I think is confirming for us. For me, I'd like to see us get above. We have a couple of high time frame averages noted over here. So this is a monthly pivot and a quarterly pivot. So once again, high time frame average of previous sessions. At this point, I'd like to see us living above the quarterly one, right? So it's just pretty much a little bit higher than where we are right now. Start closing some daily candles up there. And I'd say that this is probably more so a confirmation that we're going to continue higher. Now, the targets of this overall setup is back to the 382, up to your gold pocket, your B point, right? We've also got an untapped yearly pivot along the way. So these are some pretty substantial moves back to the upside. And I'll just point out that just on this 40, it's already been 45%. On this 45% move here, ETH is technically pushed up 100 almost. And granted, this is not the easiest gauge to just state like, okay, that's whatever this pushes up, just times it by 2, and that's what ETH will see. Because we just really don't know how it's just going to evolve against Bitcoin. But this is a relatively small move compared to where we could get to. Once again, I don't anticipate these being met anytime soon. This was a 6-year setup, so this is probably going to take us some time to unravel. And just like the way down, look at how many green days, green, and these are weekly candles, mind you. So this is green weeks, green weeks, green weeks, green weeks, right? Even though we were overall coming down, to make our way to these levels up, I'm sure we'll see several times where if we do confirm that this is going to be the low, and for me, it's really just closing, I'd say daily above that quarterly pivot. At the moment, I'm already in the camp and the bias that definitely this is where we probably put the bottom in, and we will see this move, unfold. Positioned very well from much lower for a lot of things, and just really been preparing for this for quite some time. So once again, not trying to incite any type of FOMO. I just would like to point out that we may be in the beginning stages of a really sizable move to the upside overall for the remaining altcoins, as well as Ethereum. This is probably the best example here. Just looking right over to where we began this last time. Look at this overall move. We got this really nice burst. We came back down, made our higher low, okay, and then we continued upward from there, right? So it was not just this up only scenario till really we got about here, but overall this was obviously where we put in our low. We would have been looking for that confirmation around that region, look for that higher low, and then away we go. So in short, I believe that Ethereum has put in a huge reversal on a high time frame outlook here against Bitcoin, and I think that we will see over the coming several months way more upside for Ethereum and the entire market, obviously, together. Okay, and we got to take a look at the SPY, because this has just been such a beautiful move. If you recall, we were looking literally into this live time as we came down with Bitcoin at 74,000 just a month ago. We were looking into this as well. And I was noting how you couldn't get too bearish at support, right? We were coming into a key level here, which was our gold pocket, which we see time and time again, a natural retrace to. And this has just been such an epic V-shaped recovery at this point. There was 2 key regions I was looking to, aside from getting the bounce off of here. One was when we got the reclaim of the Q1 low. So we bounced right back into this region here. At that point, I was looking for the Q1 range, which is this setting right here. We had our high time frame average for the quarter as well. So just similar to Bitcoin, similar to Ethereum, I just pointed out, we tend to get back to those averages in a hurry. And we did so pretty much last week here, and have since reclaimed even that region there. So we are well within our Q1 range here. So the natural target is going to be the NPOC, which is an untapped point of control, highest volume traded level on the chart for that region. And it does come in at $602. So I fully anticipate that we will see $602 here in the near future on the SPY. If you found any value in today's update, make sure to drop a like and please leave a comment with your thoughts or questions below. I always appreciate hearing what you're watching in the markets as well. And a quick reminder, if you're looking for a simple, transparent way to earn passive yield on your USDC stablecoins, be sure to check out our channel partner, Max APY. They just launched a few weeks ago, and they're offering a real on-chain APY. Plus, they're running a silent epoch ahead of their end of May airdrop. So now's the time to get in early. The link is down in the description below. And if you want real-time analysis and trade setups like the ones I shared today, please be sure to check out my private investing community. It's where I share everything first, from short-term trades to macro moves. You can find the link down in our description as well. Appreciate you all tuning in. I'll see you all in the next video. And until then, everybody, cheers.